Hello, hello. You're listening to For the Girls, Gays, and Days, the podcast where two friends process their emotions concerning pop culture of note to the acronymed community. I'm Colt, hear him.
I'm Alex. They, them.
Welcome.
Welcome to it.
This week, we are looking ahead to the 95th Annual Academy Awards with our/my winner picks and predictions. So, to kick us off, Best Picture. And the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Woman Talking. Alex, question.
Yeah.
What percentage of these films have you seen?
A solid 20 by choice.
Really?
And that's not
That
going to
few?
No, I'm kidding. Okay. So I've seen everything everywhere all at once. I've seen Banshees of Ed Sheeran. I have seen 90% of Tar, but it started to trigger my anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And there are ones that I've actively avoided. And I'm looking at you, Avatar. I can't be asked. I don't have that kind of time. Top Gun Maverick, ooh, I could watch for free. I'm not gonna. I think there are ones that I just have chosen not to watch, but I know enough about each one of them because I really spend more time on social media than I should. So I know that there are let's do this like they do House Hunters International. Let's get rid of the ones that you know belong in the bin. Can you tell us about why Elvis belongs in the bin?
For me, there are two films here that I think are not good films.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, I did not enjoy. Those two films are Elvis, which I've spoken about to some degree on this podcast before. I think, well, it's not Elvis's story. It's supposed to be about Elvis, but it's told from the perspective of his manager, who's played by Tom Hanks in what I would call a laughably bad performance.
I've heard it's the worst performance of his career.
I actively hated the editing. It made me nauseous. And I know there's people who are going to be like, oh, but that's the point. It's supposed to like keep you off. And I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm tired of that excuse for bad editing. I'm just like, it's choppy, doesn't make sense. Anyway, I didn't like Elvis. I thought Austin Butler was fine. Triangle of Sadness, I had the opposite experience too. Whereas Elvis is just throwing far too much at me that I'm just like, do not care. Triangle gave me very little. I was very bored. And when I wasn't bored, I was like cringe anxious. And I watched it on fast forward and I had to skip through it because I was just like, this is making me uncomfortable. This is making me very uncomfortable. And again, I think that's the point. I think it's on purpose, but it's not a film watching experience that I enjoyed at all. I was like, I cannot wait for this film to be over. I want this film to be over. I'm going to finish watching it because I know that it's in consideration for a bunch of awards. I did not think it would get into Best Picture. Personally, it was a little surprise for me, but you know.
Well, let's talk about the actual surprise, Top Gun Maverick. Why is that?
It's not a surprise.
Money? Is it just money?
Like it's fine. I don't think it tells a particularly engaging story. It's a very well-made action military propaganda piece that unfortunately has Tom Cruise as a lead. And it's never going to be a positive for me. But, you know, it's fine. It looked good. It was well made. The action sequences were very well directed. I didn't hate the experience of watching the film.
That's true. And I like...
There was a huge amount of sexual tension between Miles Teller and Glenn Powell that I enjoyed very much. Yeah. So there was things to find to enjoy in it.
Freaky. Yeah. And I appreciated how it put enough money into a whole bunch of companies to make them able to make films that aren't quite so not my taste. And I appreciate that it's a lot of people's tastes, and God bless it. Just don't know, like, when we're gonna have a real conversation about the fact that you can buy this nomination.
I don't even think it's that, Alex, when it comes to Top Gun. That's not what it is. People love this film. Americans love this film. As I say, it's a piece of American military propaganda. So it makes sense that Americans love this film.
And I love America.
That's Top Gun. Another one that again is in just because it made a shit ton of money, Avatar: The Way of Water. Again, we've briefly discussed it on the pod before. Again, it's something that I think was fine. I thought the first 2 hours could have been condensed into about 40 minutes. And then the last hour of that film was very good. Again, very well made action movie. But the story leading up to it, the screenplay was dog shit. Like I'll just say that. James Cameron, he could not write himself out of a paper bag. His dialogue is so atrocious. But he's a brilliant director. He can direct the shit out of an action set piece. And he should stick to that. And he should let other people write his scripts. Is my personal and incredibly humble opinion.
Jesus, tell me what you really think. Don't hold back.
And I've spent a lot of time now shitting on these best picture nominees, but there are a handful that I truly really enjoyed. Women Talking,
yes,
which was very much on the bubble to get into this category at all.
Gay rights.
It's been shut out of so many categories that it could have and should have been nominated in. I thought it was a phenomenal film.
Yeah.
That just and it's the simplest of concepts of just women talking in a barn that are in this sort of Amish-esque community, and they're discussing whether or not that they should leave or if they should stay and fight, or what they should do about the situation where they've been abused by the men in their community for a long time, and they're discussing what they're going to do about it. And it is moving, it is powerful, it's also surprisingly funny in sections. There's entire sections of this that made me chuckle, that gave me giggles. I think it's phenomenal representation. We get some queerness in here as well, which is lovely to see. Trans characters. There's a prominent trans character. Yeah,
I think it also spoke to broader conversations. Like, I think what was great about it is it took a story that needed to be told and localized it so much so that you cared about the people telling the story. So the message doesn't pass over you because you're like, oh god, somebody's on a high horse. Took the idea of zoning into 5 people in a village that I speak about often, which I really, I love, and kind of made it into a conversation that could be applied anywhere. So interesting for me. And I know it is the underdog. It is something that would be overlooked by a lot of people, but I'm happy to spend a few minutes speaking about it because I hope more people watch it.
Yeah. Tar is also another film that I really enjoyed this year. It is in my top 10 personal lists. I get why it could make you uncomfortable. I think it's sort of designed, again, it's designed to, but in a very different way. It's not like cringe, which I can't cringe. Cringe is the fastest way to check me out of a film. This is not like cringe anxiety. It's like, ooh, what's around the corner? Ooh, what's happening? Ooh, what's she doing?
She makes
like, ooh, she shouldn't be doing that. Ooh, that person's dying. Oh my god. Yeah, it's
bad choices from the outset and throughout by that woman, and I love it.
Yeah.
Watchable, endlessly watchable as she self-destructs completely. And I also think it's, again, just like women talking about a broader conversation about, like, what do we do? What in these type of situations? What do we do?
Before I get into what I think is the top 2, I've realized that I've completely skipped over The Fabelmans, which doesn't surprise me because it's a perfectly watchable film.
This is the shadiest podcast we've ever done. This is under a palm tree, ladies and gentlemen and babies.
Yeah, again, it's fine.
Sorry to that.
I watched it. I didn't hate it. I don't think I'll watch it again.
Moving on
to who I think the top 2 are this year. And I think it comes down to The Banshees of Inisherin and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, shit.
One of them is my favorite film of the year. And the other one has a fantastic performance by Colin Farrell.
Girl, I thought, like I watched it with, for once, I didn't just watch it like in sweatpants by myself or with my wife. Like we watched it with our family over
Yeah.
Christmas, and it had such differentiating opinion that
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
could
and
sit
it
there and
has.
say, well, somebody put their whole pussy into this. So it's like you feel like people wanted to be there.
I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic film. It is in my
Yeah.
top 10 of my personal list. It probably is my second ranked out of these 10.
Mm,
I thought it was phenomenally well made,
mm,
and
mm, mm,
the
mm,
writing was spectacular. The
mm.
performances from all three of the sort of main characters
Brilliant.
being all four, sorry, all four of the main characters being Colin
I can't
Farrell,
count.
Brendan Gleeson,
Yeah.
Barry Keoghan, and Kerry Condon all turned in fantastic performances.
Content
I thought the
brilliant. Yeah.
direction was good, the writing was good, it's beautiful, but it just
Beautiful.
is not everything everywhere all at once.
The dumplings were nice. But yes,
Which is my favorite film of last year. It's a film that I've
same.
seen in cinemas 5 times.
Yes, you have watched it numerous times. I actually went to the cinema and watched it in cinema, which is a rare thing for me. I just
Yeah.
wanted to give the money to a film led by minorities, and
Yeah.
I will go watch. That is when I will go to the cinema to like give my money, or if it's like a dumbass movie, I'll have to do that. But
Mm.
for me, I think, in my opinion, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is the best film made for like more than half a decade. I think it
Mm.
is relevant. It's pertinent. It's watchable.
Yeah.
There was no sound editor being an asshole. There was no lighting person being an asshole. There was no script supervisor who didn't feel like coming to work that day. Everybody was it.
Everybody who worked on the film
Yeah,
wanted to be there and
yeah,
put their all into it.
yeah. It didn't try and outshine folks. It was a very
Yeah.
generous movie too. I feel like everybody supported each other, so you didn't have, like, oh
And
god,
I
the
don't
sound
think that
editing is the worst thing. Yeah,
anyone went into the film trying to make a groundbreaking film. They just went into it wanting to make a really fun, ambitious story and just have a good time. And I think that it comes through and it shows, and the heart of it and the humor of it and like the weirdness of it is just, it is so unique. It is such a unique film.
mm.
And I'm thrilled to say that it is what I'm predicting to win Best Picture this year. It has picked up a lot of precursor awards leading up to it. It's gaining momentum. Just in like the last couple of weeks, it's broken huge records at the SAG Awards,
Mm-hmm.
having the most wins for any film ever at the SAG Awards, winning supporting actor, supporting actress, leading actress, and ensemble. It's just won 7 awards at the Indie Spirit Awards. That's the most awards any film has ever won at the Indie Spirits Awards. You have huge, like, dominating streaks that are almost unbeaten in the acting categories. Numerous different tech awards that it's sort of in the top two, in contention with. When the film came out, I watched it and I'm like, God, this would be amazing if something like this could get into the Oscars. I was not even considering that it could actually win. I was just like, this is amazing. I love this film so much. Too bad that like the Oscars never go for shit like this. But then like it just, awards shows have embraced it, and it's getting there. And I will be absolutely destroyed if it doesn't win
I
at this
agree.
stage.
Yeah,
For the longest
yeah.
time, I've been trying to convince myself, trying to look for another film that could win. Trying to be like, no, they're not gonna. The Oscars will never be that cool. The Oscars will never make a decision that exciting or that interesting. Which is the one that they're actually going to go for? And I at this stage, I don't know. I don't know what else could win. I think it's Banshees potentially. Oh, and God, I've just realized I've forgotten another one, which is a shame because I really
Okay.
enjoyed it. But All Quiet on the Western Front is the other one that I have not
You
mentioned,
didn't. You spoke about it
which
last
we
week.
talked about
I
last week with
know.
with the BAFTAs conversation. I think that's the other potential actually, which is why I'm like, I should have mentioned it before now. But All Quiet on the Western Front could potentially do it again. I think that maybe just a BAFTA thing. I can't see like the Americans rallying behind it the same way that
No.
the Brits did.
Very
So,
different target audiences, very different
which is the
people
same
you're
thing with
speaking to.
Banshees. I can't necessarily see Americans rally around the tone of Banshees, even though they love Martin McDonagh. Like he's done very well before.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know what else could win at this point, and I would be ecstatic to see Everything Everywhere win, and I think it would have my personal pick. It would be my personal pick for Best Picture, and it is the one that I am currently predicting to win.
I would go with you on that. I hope it does, but what my thinking is that I always remember about the Oscar voters, the Academy voters, is that they're not comprised of people who enjoy stories where they don't see themselves. And if you look at the makeup of their voters, it is a lot of white men and a lot of white women.
Yeah. It
And
has gotten
so,
better. It has gotten
but
better. It has gotten more diverse. But like
yeah,
you're still working against a huge backlog of members who have been there for a very long time.
it is unfortunate. And I mean, the fact that the few non-white people that they put on there had to make such a big furore over it does
Yeah.
kind of make you wonder about everything.
But we have
And
seen
they,
interesting wins.
we've also
In
seen
even
trash win.
the near past. I mean, we've seen so many trash wins, but like
We've seen
we've
Green Book.
yeah.
So, you
But then we
know,
also got
why put it?
Parasite.
That was exciting.
We got
Um,
Birdman. We got The Shape of Water. We've gotten weird films. Have won this award.
I loved The Shape of Water, but we might get into
So
that
did
now.
I.
I
I
hated when
loved
people
that.
ruined it for me afterwards, and I was like, I don't want it.
I'm like, I don't care if it's the fish fucking movie. I
I
still
don't
love
want
it.
it. Don't,
I love
don't,
it.
don't ruin it.
I love
I wrote a
Birdman as
review about
well.
it, and I loved it
I
so much.
yeah. Anyway, that's Best Picture.
Okay.
Moving on to Best Director.
Mm-hmm.
The nominees are Todd Field, Tar,
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, aka the Daniels, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Martin McDonagh, The Banshees of Inisherin, Ruben Östlund, Triangle of Sadness, and Steven Spielberg for The Fablemans.
Mm-hmm.
The people that I think are going to win are the same people that I would personally choose to win, and that is the Daniels. They've won numerous precursors up until this point. And again, I struggle to think of who else could take it. There was a time where Steven Spielberg was considered to be a
Yeah,
potential
that's the last I
competitor
heard. Yeah,
in this
I heard
category.
that.
But
Mm-hmm.
given that he missed out on BAFTA entirely, and the fact that I don't think he's yet to secure a significant win, apart from the Golden Globes, I believe, which as a predictor is not the best because it doesn't have a lot or any overlap between the Hollywood Foreign Press Association and the Academy. I think it just
No.
serves as an awards body that can give a nominee a platform and
Mm-hmm.
can move someone from being a no starter to a potential contender. It does have the potential to do that.
It
But
did.
unless that translates into some kind of momentum afterwards, then it's not relevant. So in this case, that win has not translated to any kind of momentum, and Spielberg hasn't won any other significant precursor, whereas the Daniels have.
Yeah, the Daniels pushies are on fire, and I really hope they get this one. Not much else to say about this, except I think sometimes this category can be very male dominated.
I was
When it
about to say we do
shouldn't
need to talk
be.
about the elephant in the room.
I wish it
Yeah,
wasn't.
yeah. But like the thing is that what always comes up around this is people will go, there were no actual contenders that women could be nominated for. And I'm sorry, but that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Especially this year, when you have people like Sarah Polley for Women Talking, when you have people like Gina Prince Bythewood for The Woman King, which don't get me started
So
on how
overlooked.
that film is not in Best
Yeah.
Picture, but specifically the direction of that, whether regardless of being in Best Picture or not, Gina Prince Bythewood should have been in this category for what she was able to do with The Woman King. Sarah Polley should have been in this category for what she was able to do with a group of women talking in a barn. She was able to turn that into something truly cinematic.
I just feel like it's a story that we could have spoken about last year, we could have spoken about the previous year. there have been movies that get all kinds of praise, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, did the door direct it? Why don't we ever talk about female directors who've really snapped and done great things?
And what is
Obviously,
frustrating is that it seemed like we were moving in some kind of direction with this category of like the last few years, we've had women directors make it into this category. We've had, you know, your Emerald Fennells, your Greta Gerwigs have been getting into this category. But again, what do those names have in common, Alex?
well, let me think about it, Cold. It's something that they don't have in common with me. Yeah, no, white women. Listen, white women,
Yeah.
white women, white women, and I think what's really interesting for me.
I mean, I do have to say we had Chloe Zhao,
yeah,
an actual winner in the category.
very good.
But like, you know.
But here's my thing about that: when we are able to list people on our 10 fingers.
On one hand, I can go.
On
Okay,
one,
so we've got
on,
Chloe Zhao,
yeah,
Emerald Fennell, Jane Campion,
yeah,
Greta Gerwig,
Bigelow,
Catherine Bigelow.
yeah, and that
Look at
completes
that.
it.
I
And
think that's it. I think that's genuinely it.
And
I'm sure
I know
there may be others I'm forgetting, but I think that's it.
Those are the ones I remember, and those are the ones people talk about. I mean,
Yeah.
And those are the people who find it easier to get money going forward. But here's my thing about, and it always happens in conversations around the fact that white men worry about losing their space. They will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that 5 must sustain you over the course of 5 years because we gave you, we gave you Bigelow, we gave you Zhao, like we gave you
had
Zhao, yeah. So like don't have
Campion,
a moan.
to be fair.
We
Campion
gave you
won
Campion.
recently as well.
Campion still has a horrible time doing anything.
Yeah,
she got so much shit.
She should have got Best Picture last year, but we won't get into that. What we will do is we're going to take a little break, and we will be right back once we've calmed down, because this has got us riled up a little.
Be right back. I'm fine. I'm fine.
And we're back.
Welcome to it.
Right, getting straight into it. Let's talk about actress in a leading role. The nominees are Cate Blanchett, Tar, Ana de Armas, Blonde, Andrea Riseborough, To Leslie, Michelle Williams, The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think this is a very close race. We're splitting hairs here, but my pick is Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think she has the narrative, she has the support, and she has the momentum, having won a number of precursors recently, including SAG and the Indie Spirit. And that's not to say that Blanchett is not deserving. I think it is very close between Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett for this. I think she is a powerhouse in Tar, but she also has 2 other Oscars. So, and a win for Michelle Yeoh would be historic. So I'm crossing fingers, and just because Michelle Yeoh is just the loveliest person, and she deserves it. She really does.
She does deserve it. I understand your hopes about this. I also agree about momentum. I think the early momentum was with Cate Blanchett. She really did the early sweeps, and then it's not F1, but and then Michelle Yeoh has really come back in the second half and scooped up a considerable amount too of important ones. I hope that it is between those 2 and we don't get like a surprise.
I mean, if we want to talk about surprises, we have to mention the fact that Andrea Riseborough basically got into this category by like having her actor friends, post about it on social media.
Exactly. Sarah Paulson and the like backed Riseborough to Hell and Gone. The movie came from nowhere. It was essentially like a fart in the wind. Nobody paid much attention. And
it was the thing of it gets a nomination, and people are like, huh? That actually happened? Before the nominations happened, people were like, have you seen this thing with the stuff with Andrea Riseborough? How cute is that? How hilarious is that? And then she got the fucking nomination. So you're right. We could see More shenanigans with this category, and we could see someone like Riseborough actually win. Next category, actor in a leading role. The nominees are Austin Butler,
Yes.
Elvis, Colin Farrell, The Banshees of Inisherin,
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser, The Whale, Paul Mescal, Aftersun, and Bill Nye, Living.
Bill Nye. Oh, haven't thought about him for years.
Love him to death, doesn't have a chance of winning.
No, yes.
Loved him in that film, glad he got nominated, doesn't have a chance to win. Paul Mescal, similarly, loved him in that film, didn't particularly like the film, but loved him in it. Lovely boy, glad he got the nomination, don't think he's going to win. I think this comes down to, you don't know, it's not even a three-way race. I think, again, Colin Farrell, loved him, thought he was fantastic in Banshees. I don't really think he's got a shot at this point. I think it comes down to Austin Butler for Elvis, which that face you just made is exactly my thoughts on it. I would be so fucking irritated if that man wins. And I think there's a very real possibility he does. That being said, the person that I predict will win, and the person that I personally would choose to win in this category is Brendan Fraser for The Whale. Again, I think he picked up the SAG. He has that little bit of momentum. He's gotten on stage. He's given speeches recently. Just as awards voting is opening up, I think that gives him a chance. And he's that person in that film. From the moment the film released to festival circuit, people are, no matter what they had to say about the film in general, because the people are very mixed on that. You have people like myself who love the film. You have people who absolutely fucking hate the film. But there's no denying that Brendan Fraser is a phenomenal talent and gives so many people's career best performances in this film. He's undeniable in his performance in this film. So in my opinion, he should be winning. I think that he's just that little bit ahead. Or it could just be wishful thinking, and that I really don't want to see Austin Butler win.
I want to root for my dark horse, Colin Farrell. I think
Yeah,
I would love it.
It could happen.
I would
It
love
could
to
happen.
see it. I would love to root for him. My biggest thing with Austin Butler is I think there's a big desire in Hollywood to find the next leading man because there's a big dearth there. So I think.
But honestly, people have said that, like, oh, he's so young. That's what some people have said, and why they think he's not going to win. It's like, oh, he's so young, and I'm like, he's my age. He's 31. He's not young. I'm not young.
I mean,
yeah.
It's comparatively young. It's still pretty young.
Paul Mescal's like 24. Like,
yeah, you can still join the youth league in South Africa at 35. So I think he's fine.
All five of these people are first-time nominees. So, like, the inexperienced thing, I don't know. Anyway, we're not going to get bogged down in another category.
Yeah,
we're not going to get bogged down in another category. I think you're right. There's a chance that it could be Colin Farrell. I think it's between Brendan Fraser and Austin Butler, and I'm rooting for Fraser.
Let's see what happens.
Next category, actress in a supporting role. And the nominees are Angela Bassett, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Hong Chow, The Whale, Kerry Condon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Hsu, Everything Everywhere All at Once. This category is kind of wide open. Like, there's not a single person in this category that I think flat out doesn't have a chance to win. We've seen Angela Bassett win the Golden Globe. We've seen Kerry Condon win.
Angela Bassett did the thing. Yes.
Yeah. We've seen Kerry Condon win the BAFTA. We've seen Jamie Lee Curtis win the SAG.
And make out with
Michelle Yeoh. Yeah.
Make out more.
So they've all picked up major wins.
Yeah.
They could all repeat. They could all end up winning this award. Stephanie Hsu could surprise everyone. She kind of surprised everyone by getting into this category, which shouldn't have been a surprise.
For me, it's egregious that that is a surprise to people.
Yeah.
Like, it's so
she's
upsetting to
so
me.
fucking
Like,
good in this film.
did they watch the film? I don't know. I don't know.
And Hong Chao is also,
but she couldn't give a fuck. Like,
yeah, she's not campaigning. She's not like pushing for it. So I don't think
she
I
might
think
put on
if
Netflix and just eat chips that night. She couldn't
the
give a fuck.
likelihood, if I'm ranking them by likelihood, she is sort of at the bottom, and then
She
Stephanie
told him she
Hsu,
doesn't give a fuck. Yeah.
unfortunately, and then Jamie Lee Curtis, just because I think that having Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Hsu in the same category is going to split votes a little bit, both being from Everything Everywhere. So I think we're looking at Kerry Condon versus Angela Bassett.
I hope she if we're gonna talk about people who deserve shit, it's Miss Bassett. Like,
which is
I feel
why she is my pick. I don't like. I may be being naive and putting her as my prediction. And I may be losing some points by putting her as my prediction. I fully acknowledge that. But I want so badly for it to be real, you know?
Yeah.
Like when it happened at the Globe, we were like, oh shit, okay. It might actually happen.
Maybe.
And then she got the SAG nom, and then she got the Oscar nom, and people were like, okay, it's happening. But then other people started winning the award, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe it was Kerry Condon this whole time, because Kerry Condon was the one that was on everyone's lips. After Michelle Williams moved to lead actress from supporting actress, people were like, oh, okay, well, it's Kerry Condon. And I couldn't be bad at Kerry Condon if she won. I'd be fine with that. But I really want Angela Bassett to win. I want Angela Bassett to win because I love Angela Bassett. But also, for Angela Bassett specifically to be the first person from an MCU film, she's the first person from an MCU film to be nominated.
Yeah.
But for her to actually win for an MCU film, specifically with like the sort of fan base of Marvel being a particular kind of toxic, that we've not seen them rally around her. And again, I say, I wonder why that is. But for like a black woman of a certain age to win the first Oscar for the Marvel Cinematic Universe in an acting role would be just delicious. So
I hope
I'm rooting for her.
I hope you're right. I root for everybody black. I always have done.
And again, it would be diverse. Like you looked at that BAFTA lineup of actors, and as wonderful as they all were,
Mayo.
all very white. All very
Mayo on vanilla. Yeah. And it's a real shame, but that's the thing with BAFTAs, and I've written articles about it, and I'm not going to go into it again because it takes too long. But the great thing would be if Angela Bassett pulled it through. I have a funny suspicion again about Jamie Lee Curtis. I think it's just like one of those things.
It really could.
It's just one of those
people
things.
Love her. People love her, but she said she's wanted an Oscar, and people listened. It could happen. It would be wild.
It would be wild.
It would be wild.
Would be,
but you know,
unheard of. I also have a funny feeling, which is terrible to say, but what I've heard about screeners and being on the list for screeners and then voting subsequently, some people, after a few years, are not watching all the screeners and will go with the person whose name they know or mate they have tangentially.
Yeah.
And like, she is more likely to have those connections. But then again, I just don't know what could happen.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, next category, we have actor in a supporting role.
Don't forget the men. Oh.
And the nominees are Brendan Gleeson for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan for The Banshees of Inisherin, and Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think there's no need to discuss anything in this category because the award is going to Ke Huy Quan. He had one minor hiccup at the BAFTAs, but I think that has a lot to do with a little bit of good old-fashioned British racism. So, and that's nothing against Barry Keoghan. Lovely boy, lovely performance, great performance, beautiful gowns. But Ke Huy Quan has won every other award
Surely.
precursor leading up to this, gave a career-defining performance. He's got the narrative, he's got the story, he's got numerous phenomenal speeches that are going to have him stick in people's minds, whether they've seen the film or not. They will know about his speeches and his story of quitting because he couldn't find roles for people like him, and then getting this opportunity to flex his chops, to show off his skills, both as a stunt performer, but also as an actor, and just giving just a nuanced, layered performance, switching between the sort of cowardly Waymond versus the Alphaverse Waymond, which is a lot more self-assured and confident, and just doing it flawlessly, perfectly executed. I think this should be the easiest award of the night. Ke Huy Quan, Best Supporting Actor.
I agree, and I would do laundry in Texas with him. I think he has it. I hope that it was just a stutter at the BAFTAs. Ideally, people will remember that he has had a tricky path to it. It was a rare find for him to find not only this role, but to be cast in it. The man didn't even have health insurance in 2022.
Yeah.
So I hope people remember that when they're voting, and I hope they remember his impactful performance.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on to the next category, we have Original Screenplay. And the nominees are The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. I think, again, this comes down to two people. It's a two-horse race, and that is The Banshees of Inisherin and Everything Everywhere All at Once. And given the fact that I think that Everything Everywhere All at Once is getting director and picture and a number of acting awards, I think there may be some distribution of awards going on. And this would be the category to do it, which is why my prediction and my personal pick for this category would be The Banshees of Inisherin.
My hope is that it's Everything Everywhere All at Once. But the script for Banshees was incredible. I think it just, every word was impactful. Every moment had a meaning. I just, I don't know what could happen. I think screenplays have a lot of power, and I hope that people remember that when they vote for this and give it to an award that could perpetuate more screenplays that include people like Michelle Yeoh. And that's all I will say about that, because she waited so long for this screenplay to land on, to be at a place that could give her the nominations that she needs. I mean, if you think of it like a car, it's the engine that drives the car. So I just, I hope people remember that, and I hope we see a great award, and not something that I sigh and move on to. Move on from.
Moving on, the next category is Adapted Screenplay. And the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. Yeah, that face you made about Top Gun Maverick, I think that is the one that stands out as like one of these things is not like the other. But we're not going to get into that again. I'm just going to say, I think this is should be another easy award. I think the one that I'm predicting is the same one that I personally would pick, which is Women Talking. I think it is a very skillful adaptation of the source material. And I think that it is a beautifully written script. And I think that it would be redonkulous for this to go to anybody else.
Yeah, I just don't see anybody else having a fair shot. I do think that sometimes, for the most part, this category has been fairly predictable over the years. You haven't seen a lot of upsets. You've seen a few, though, that have been notable. So, which makes me lean towards fairly controversial Top Gun Maverick. And I don't want it to win.
Girl,
I just have a feeling somebody might have sway to make it happen.
That would be wild. That would be wild. I was going to say that the only other contender that I have heard has been campaigning their little asses off is the writer of Living. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it is a phenomenal script, and I think it's a beautiful. It's again a really interesting adaptation based on what the source material was, which is like a samurai
Wow.
story.
Color
I
me
think it's a
shocked.
really interesting adaptation. And I think it does have a chance. It has a small chance. I think it has a better chance than Top Gun Maverick. But anyway, we're going to move swiftly along to the next category, which is international feature. And the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Argentina 1985, Close, EO, and The Quiet Girl. Again, I don't have much to say on this category. I have watched 1 out of 5 of these films, and it is the film that I believe is going to win, which is All Quiet on the Western Front. I think it is the most accessible for people to watch, being that it's on Netflix. It has received universal acclaim, cleared house at the BAFTAs, received many tech nominations at the Oscars. I think anything else winning would be a mammoth upset.
I I hope you're right. I wish that some of the Korean movies that I've watched this year were in there.
Decision to Leave. I was shocked. I was shocked that Decision to Leave didn't get in here.
But
Anyway.
I won't like well in the end, didn't Korea end up backing like their big campaign? They were split
No, it's Decision.
between well no, before they chose Decision, they were split between Broker and Decision.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're
And
right.
then there was some division with that, I think it caused. And so I just don't know if it had like the biggest, smoothest path there.
There's some interesting stuff with that, with the sort of the different countries choosing interesting choices. I mean, obviously India. If India had chosen RRR, I think that definitely would have got in because people fucking love that movie.
Up for best song. It has some momentum.
I don't really get it. I haven't seen it, but like the trailer made me go, nope. No, thank you. So
if you Google it, there's a cute little graphic that comes up. But I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what could happen. I hope that at least the films that are nominated get more push behind them. That's it for that category.
On to the next. We have Best Animated Feature. And the nominees are Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. Now, I loved Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. It's not an animated film. I'm sorry. If this is an animated film, what the fuck is Avatar the Way of Water? Excuse me? Avatar the Way of Water has far more animation in it than Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
But
I'm glad that it was, because it would not have received an Oscar nomination otherwise, because there's no way it would have gotten into Best Picture. I mean, it didn't. But yeah, loved it. Made me sob my little eyes out. And it would be my number 3 on this list. But I think this is another very easy category in terms of who I think is going to win. I think that Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is an absolute shoo-in to win. I think there are no other real contenders. My personal pick, as much as I came to enjoy Pinocchio on a second watch, didn't love it on my first.
You didn't.
A film that I did love on my first watch, and even more on my second, was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
What? That is not where I thought you were going.
I know. And this is something like that when it came out, critics were like, this is actually really good, guys. And we were all like, no. I saw the first one. No. Girl, it is phenomenal. It is so good. The animation style is so inventive. I think the story is really cute. You've got really cute characters, like cute supporting characters that can be annoying in other films. Were not annoying in this film. They had like 3 different villains, but it didn't feel overstuffed. They all worked. They all had their own stories. They all had their own arcs. And it features one of the best villains since the Fairy Godmother, with the wolf character in this film, who is both terrifying and also deeply sexually attractive.
Okay, we're gonna pull back there, folks. For the protection of my friend, we do not need to go further into that train of thought. Back to the Oscars.
If you know, you know. I'm just saying.
Oh, girl, you said the other record to
That
me.
voice. That voice?
Okay, I thought you were gonna say Turning Red. I thought
I
be
Turning
the
Red's
vibe.
cute. Turning Red would actually be the fourth for me on this list. I liked it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's Puss in Boots. I'll probably watch it tonight.
Please do. It is, yeah. It is
It
so
sounds
worth it.
it
I
sounds
promise
perfect.
you.
I've watched all the other Shrek movies more than once, more than twice, more than thrice. So, I think it's definitely
If we
worth
were
thinking
ranking
about.
Shrek films, obviously Shrek 2.
It's a great film.
And then I don't know if I'd put Shrek or this or Puss in Boots: The Last Wish as number 2. I don't know.
We don't have to rank them. We can put them in a little basket and enjoy each one of them at different moments. And I just think
Okay,
they're great films, but not too much
let's
about
do that
Shrek.
then.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
On y
move on to the
va,
next category,
on we pop.
which is documentary feature.
Yeah.
And the nominees are All That Breathes,
Uh,
All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, Fire of Love, A House Made of Splinters, and Navalny.
hmm.
This category is always bonkers. This category is always incredibly unpredictable. This category always has like prognosticators befuddled and betwixt. So in terms of who I'm predicting to win, at the moment it's Navalny, which
Mm.
focuses on the political figure, Navalny, who opposed Putin's regime and was poisoned, like a failed assassination attempt where he got poisoned. And it's following that and subsequent stuff around that. So it's very timely. It's connected to the ongoing war in Ukraine. I think it's sort of most likely to win. I've not actually watched any of these, but the one that I most want to watch out of this list but haven't got around to it yet is Fire of Love. So that would kind of be my personal pick, which is about a couple that goes volcano chasing. And it's all sort of found footage, which the Academy is notoriously anti found footage or like recycled footage films. They're not usually the biggest fan of those. But yeah, that I think just for like the interesting concept of it, I think that's what would get my personal vote. But yeah.
I haven't watched any of them. I haven't heard much about many of them. What
Yeah.
usually happens to me is that I end up watching these documentaries on Canopy, which is like a free library service in the States about a year after they get released. I do think it is a category that always surprises me. Obviously, every South African ever knew about the category last year or the year before because of Octopus Teacher.
Mm-hmm. Which people, that's a good example of prognosticators did not think that was going to win.
No.
It was not on people's radars, but I predicted it because I'm like, I saw the reaction to it, which I thought was way overblown, and I thought it was not particularly. I didn't love it, but like I thought that it was going to win, and it ended up winning. So
It's interesting. I don't know what's going to happen there, but it's an interesting thing to watch. And it's
yeah.
also a great thing that it's one of the few categories where I'm like, this is a good list of films that I'll watch afterwards. I'm not doing that for best actor male. Sorry.
They're all good films. Anyway, moving on to the next category, we have Best Original Song.
Oh, yes.
And the nominees are Applause, Tell It Like a Woman, Hold My Hand, Top Gun Maverick, Lift Me Up, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Natu Natu from RRR. And finally, This Is the Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Alex, this is your field of expertise. Tell me what you think.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I know it's not usually a category that a lot of people pay attention to, but I do. So first up we have Rihanna with her song "Lift Me Up" from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It's Rihanna's first ever Oscar nomination, but she's up against incredibly stiff competition. Primary of which I think is Lady Gaga, who also received a nomination previously and a win for Shadow from A Star Is Born. So I think
and
that's pretty good.
for Till It Happens to You, which she should have won for, to be honest.
Other than that, very tough song to listen to.
Oh
But
yeah, but
great song, great song.
good
Um,
song.
brilliant song. I think it might be Gaga. I think Gaga's definitely got it, but I'll just everybody in the category did a great job with these songs. Some years the songs are duds. They're just there for a little bit of a boost, and they don't really fit in with the movie. They're sort of thought about afterwards, with no shade meant to Rihanna. But I think what's great is that
I will disagree with that vehemently, but carry on.
I feel like sometimes they're used as money generators afterwards so that people buy the single. And they don't really like go with it. But with Son Lux featuring Miski and David Bryan, This Is the Life from Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. In case you don't know, Son Lux is an experimental music project led by Ryan Loft, and it's his first ever Oscar nomination. Mitski is a singer-songwriter known for her emotional lyrics and unique sound. David Bryan, famous as all get out, lead singer of the Talking Heads and has won multiple Grammy Awards. For me, I think my favorite song in the category, definitely very, very good. But another one that, which you spoke about earlier, RRR, it is a great song. I think it's worth noting that Oscars have really ignored songs like this that have kind of turned the world around and had a lot of momentum around them, just not with the target audience of the Oscars. The song's performed by Rahul Splinguj and Kala Bavaria, and they won the Golden Globe Award for the Best Song earlier this year. So it's really great to see international talent recognized because they don't usually do it. And my last little shout out is Sophia Carson's performance of Applause from like a woman written by Diane Warren. Carson, rising star, really good. Previously in the Disney Channel's Descendants franchise. And I know gay people know about that. So
no idea.
It's interesting to note that some notable shortlisted contenders did not make the final cut. So Taylor Swift didn't make it. Jasmine Sullivan, LCD Sound System, and The Weeknd was a very competitive category.
And Pinocchio as well. Cha Papa from Pinocchio was also really in contention for a minute.
I didn't see as much about that as people were saying about Taylor Swift and Jasmine Sullivan, but
I'm not surprised given what part of the internet you live on. That's not surprising.
Homophobic.
That you'd hear more about Taylor Swift.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about this song.
Let me tell you, Natu Natu is winning this award. I'm sorry. I don't want it to. I think it is so overrated. I think it is such an overrated song. I think, again, if we're talking about lyrics, what fucking lyrics? I think it is so overrated. I think people are getting so swept up in this film that I don't understand it. I don't understand, Alex. I've watched the song. I've watched like the clip of it in the film. I don't fucking get it. But
well, shit.
It has gotten so much praise and so much momentum. I think it is running away with this award. I think I resisted putting this as my prediction for the longest time, but I think at this point I would be foolish not to predict it to win, which makes me so annoyed.
You are usually
and
right.
I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
You're usually right about it.
I don't want it to be Gaga either. I think that's another song. I don't like it. I don't like that song. I just don't like it. Lady Gaga is one of my favorite performers ever. I think she's the first person I think of when people are like, who's your favorite artist? It's normally Gaga as the first person I mention. Hate that song.
Yay.
Really don't like that song. This Is a Life. Possibly my favorite to just listen to in this category.
That's my favorite song to listen to.
If like you were like pick one song out of these 5 that you want to listen to right now, it's This Is a Life. I love it. I love it so much. But my personal pick, if I was picking who I would want to win, it would be Rihanna. But Lift Me Up, because you think it's a money grab. I think it's not fair because the way that it's used in the film, Alex, is not just, I mean, yes, it's in the credits, but it works on a level that's not just a credit song. It works as this moment of reflection. It works as this moment of grieving at the end of the film. This sort of lullaby to sort of Chadwick Boseman and his legacy and the characters letting go of his character. And it just packs up, for me, it packed an emotional punch. Coming towards the end of the film, it starts a little bit before we go into credits. We've got, you know, Shuri on the beach. She's burned her ceremonial garb. She's crying, looking into the sunset. The song starts playing, and then we go into the credits, and just hearing it on the cinema sound speakers play you through like the names coming up. It just worked for me. And I think it worked on a level that was not just a cash grab. I think it's ridiculous that this is how Ryan Coogler's received his first Oscar nomination.
Oof.
Was for his writing credit on this song.
Let's not unpack that in 3 minutes 50 seconds. Let's not talk about that. But back to what you were saying, I want to be open and like.
Have you watched the film yet, Alex?
Oh no!
Then you can't have an opinion. I'm sorry.
I can have an opinion about songs and what I would pick as my favorite song, but I understand that.
Yeah, but picking your favorite song is not the same as picking original song at like a film awards ceremony. It has to be how it's connected to the film. It can't just be how it exists independently of the film. Or I would be choosing This Is a Life as my favorite, but it's not.
I'm open to it, and I appreciate that, you know, it's great that this could be an award for Ryan Coogler and an award for Rihanna. And it's really great. All of these songs are great. It was an incredibly competitive category. None of these songs belonged in a bin. There are songs that I've listened to once and haven't listened to again. And I think as far as production goes, songwriting goes, and performance goes, there are some clear front runners that I would choose as my favorites. But I understand that might be the winners based on previous Oscar experience and the bones people throw. So, all good.
On that note, we are out of time. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to follow us on socials, we are at girlsgaysdays_pod on Instagram and TikTok. You can watch video versions of this podcast on YouTube as well.
And join us again next week for another sip of queer culture.
Cheers.
Cheers, my deals.